had that problem, and when we had that problem, you see that we did much better. Extremely better. So this business of people coming here saying, we told you, there's a document, we told you, is really, for me, doesn't help us. So the answer is simple. We did take precautions from the same month of October, not December, no. And we announced that we had 2 cases. Thank you.
Zambia is projected to experience intensive load shedding by the end of this year, following the continued drought being experienced in some parts of the country. A researcher from Gideon Roberts University, Professor Jones Munangandu, has told journalists in Lusaka today that drought affects energy production, leading to an expected deficit of around 430 megawatts of electricity, potentially reaching over 520 megawatts by December 2024. Professor Mnangandu has said that there is need to conduct a research in alternative energy resources such as solar and wind to mitigate energy shortages. He says the drought also poses a severe threat to agriculture, with approximately 1 million hectares of maize crops destroyed, as announced by President Hakainde Hichilema yesterday. Professor Mnangandu explains that this jeopardizes national food security and livelihoods of millions of Zambians. He has since called for research on drought-resistant crop varieties, training farmers in sustainable agriculture practices, as well as promoting early planting and winter maize cultivation through irrigation methods. We have more in the following report.
Following the continued persistent drought being experienced in some parts of the country, President Hakainde Hichilema yesterday declared drought the national disaster.
We hereby declare the prolonged drought spell as a national disaster and emergency.
It was in the same vein he appealed for aid from well-wishers. A researcher from Gideon Roberts University, Professor Jones Munangandu, has disclosed that the drought being experienced in some parts of the country will cause load shedding by the end of this year.
The drought affects energy production, leading to an expected deficit of around 430 megawatts of electricity, potentially to reach over 520 megawatts by December 2024. So the university concerning this area has identified some potential roles that it can play, and that is to do with research alternative energy sources. We have been importing solar energy or products that we can use, especially that we were experiencing load shedding some time back, which has been efficiently mitigated. So because of this national disaster, we may have load shedding. So people out there are encouraged to buy solar-based energy products that can help them in case we start having load shedding in attribution to the droughts.
Professor Munangandu has since called for research on drought-resistant crop varieties, training farmers in sustainable agricultural practices, as well as promoting early planting and winter maize cultivation through irrigation methods.
The implication of this disaster is that the drought will pose a severe threat to agriculture, with approximately 1 million hectares of maize crops have been destroyed. This will jeopardize national food security and the livelihood of millions. You know, maize is used for staple food, so it will affect the life of millions. The potential roles that Gideon Roberts University has identified where it can cushion and reduce the impact of this national disaster is that the university is going to conduct research on drought-resistant crop varieties that can be grown by our farmers
The drought poses a severe threat to agriculture, with approximately 1 million hectares of maize crops destroyed, something that will jeopardize national food security and the livelihoods of millions of Zambians. Boston Muvanga reporting for KBN TV News in Lusaka.
You're watching the main news on the finest television at 19:30 Central African Time. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be right back.